Somalis are not terrorizing this nation. We are helping it thrive. Somalis have always seen themselves as a fabric of this nation. So not only are we not going anywhere, we are not going to allow anybody to make us feel less Minnesotan or less American.
Wow, things are going well up there. Joining me now, Liz Collins, senior reporter, Alpha News. Liz, I don't even know where to begin on the Somali-based scandals that are going on in your backyard, so maybe I should actually hand it to the reporter. What is happening up there?
Yeah, so much has made national news now, but federal prosecutors, Jesse, have estimated now that there has been multi-billions of dollars in fraud in Minnesota. Just to catch your audience up to speed, we've had 78 defendants now been sentenced in just the Feeding Our Future fraud scheme alone. This was the largest COVID fraud scheme in the country, overwhelmingly perpetuated in the Somali community. And those co-defendants stole more than $47 million in funds, claiming to serve 18 million meals to kids at more than 30 food distribution sites across Minnesota. The math never added up. We know a lot of that money went overseas. It'll never be recovered. You have fraud at autism centers, adult daycares, medical transportation companies. An entire program was recently shut down by the state of Minnesota. It was supposed to help people find housing. It had to be shut down after it was riddled with fraud. And over at Alpha News, we've checked out many of the tips that we've received, people alleging these fake businesses, phantom billing. I've seen for myself the empty parking lots, empty businesses. And then you can just check a quick online search to state records will show just how many millions of dollars these what look to be fake businesses are receiving. I can tell you that taxpayers are very frustrated. We've seen this for ourselves. In fact, one business that we recently profiled actually set up a surveillance camera themselves to just say, here, there's never any cars coming and going. This autism center is getting $2 million from taxpayers. We've had people calling on Governor Tim Walz to resign in the wake of all of this. He is currently still running for his third term, Jesse, here in Minnesota.
Okay, before we get to Tim Walz, Liz, I'm sorry, I know it's probably off the subject. I need to rewind for a second. Adult daycares? What's an adult daycare?
You know, it's funny. That's what federal prosecutors have asked again and again. They've never even heard of this type of business, but these have exploded in Minnesota. We've checked some out many times. Often there's nobody there, or I've actually gone into some. There's been people, just a few people sitting on a couch, and yet online they'll be advertising all these great activities that they take these older adults to. That doesn't seem to be happening into the stories that we've looked at, but certainly a lot of questions. It seems that there should be some safeguards put up on the front end rather than looking for this money after it's long gone.
Adult daycares. Gosh, I'm really old. Okay, so back to Tim Walz. Do you get the impression, because you're the one who digs into this stuff, that Minnesota and the political apparatus there look the other way for all this endless Somali fraud, or worse, helped in it? What's your impression on how the government is involved in this?
It's a good question. Republican legislators have recently been more questioning that, I think, publicly. Why have you allowed this for so long? Especially now with this explosion of all of these frauds, it seems almost at the same time. And again, we're talking about billions of dollars that have been built from taxpayers at this point. We have the Attorney General of Minnesota, Keith Ellison, who has been very quiet when it comes to fraud in Minnesota. Instead, it's been federal prosecutors taking these cases on. And then, this, I think, made national news just recently with President Trump announcing he's going to terminate temporary protected status, that TPS for Somali immigrants specifically. That's a little bit more than 400 people. It's estimated in Minnesota. We are the home to the largest Somali population in the country, anywhere between 80 and 100,000. But we have documented this before, that the money in many cases has gone overseas. Kenya, Somalia. My sources have said that many have figured out how to do this. They go ahead and they'll serve a 5 to 10 year prison term for this fraud. And we know that some of this real estate has been bought in other parts of the world. and they'll serve their time. And, it's sort of set up for them upon their release. So there's been calls to, hey, do we need tougher sentences when it comes to this fraud? It's so pervasive.
Good grief. All right, Liz, let's shift gears here. Derek Chauvin might be, this is my opinion, not yours, the most legally crapped on human being in the United States of America in the last decade. And now I know his lawyers are saying, hey, can we get this guy out of jail? What's happening with all this?
Yeah, Jesse, also something that has taken place on Governor Tim Walz's watch. We talk about fraud, but fraud to me also involves lies. Certainly a lot of them told in this case. But we have the latest developments with Derek Chauvin's case, this new court filing in support of a post-conviction relief for Derek Chauvin. It's a 71-page petition filed in Hennepin County Court last week, now alleging prosecutorial misconduct. It's basically Chauvin's last line of defense. You have his attorney stating that this case never made sense. Very few murders, he says, take place before a crowd of witnesses, especially while officers are working with dispatchers and requesting an ambulance and emergency response, right, all at the same time. There's also quite a bit in this questioning the video evidence, how these so-called expert witnesses could actually even testify at all to the cause of death of George Floyd. The only person to ever conduct an autopsy on George Floyd was Dr. Andrew Baker. Instead, he's called fifth in line to testify. And he talks about how there's no asphyxiation at all that George Floyd suffered from. And in fact, his findings are cardiopulmonary arrest, that George Floyd, in fact, died of a heart attack. And you now have 50 police officers, former and current Minneapolis police officers, that have come forward in this filing to say that Derek Chauvin was trained in the maximal restraint technique. They were all trained in MRT. And that is, in fact, what he was doing on May 25th, 2020. So you have a lot of these questionable people who've been called and testified, and many people have said that they actually committed perjury in Derek Chauvin's case. So all of that wrapped up into this 71-page filing last week to either vacate Chauvin's conviction or grant him a new trial.
All right, before I let you go, I just want to nail down on this point. We have these 50 officers, current and former, saying he was trained in this. Well, this is information that I know you had talked about back when it mattered, before Derek Chauvin went to prison. So, not insulting them or anyone else involved, because I don't know the details, where were these 50 guys back when Derek Chauvin was on trial?
Well, what's interesting is the judge did not allow MRT, the maximal restraint technique, to be discussed at trial at all. They said that Derek Chauvin he didn't sign his name in the last time it was trained during MPD, but training. But I think it only adds to the spotlight on the judge in this case, Judge Peter Cahill, who has since retired. But there were many questionable rulings that he made. I've always said in the case, Jesse, it's more about what the jury was not allowed to see in Derek Chauvin's case, rather than what they were.
Liz, happy Thanksgiving to you. I appreciate it. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.